So guys, so today we will be using edu.net to connect, and for that we will be using MySQL Server, and we will be using console-based application. So let's go. So as I've already created one console-based application, you also create your console-based application. So I already have my console-based application, so already created, and so let's begin. I'm gonna write something on your system. Name system space. So name space should be, so my project name is SQL Connection ADO. So depending upon that, you should have to name the same, keep the name the same as your project name. Okay, so it is in my case it is MySQL Connection ADO. Okay, and my class name is program. So I'm gonna write a main a function uh, in this class. So that's the reason why I'm writing this at the first. Okay, static void main memory. So I'm not gonna write anything in this main section right now. So at first I'm gonna create a method which will help me to make the connection, which will help me to open and close the connection that the particular task where we will be writing in our connection method. So the method is like this: connection method. It should be like, now what I'm gonna write is, I'm gonna write something that is called, it's called connection string. So I'm gonna write my connection string, which will uh which will help me to like in my connection string there will be like different set of credential, like what kind of server I'm using, or if you know uh, or if I'm using any kind of like authentication, like if I'm using my MySQL authentication, I'm gonna give my MySQL authentication in that connection string. So it's like it the connection string is like it also includes the database name and other parameters. Okay, so it's like you will be providing some kind of information in the connection string, like you will be providing, let me write the code first. Okay, so in this string, in this particular string, you're going to write something like uh, if you're going to write your data source, you're going to write your initial catalog, you're also going to write integrated security. So it's like integrated security is like it's like Windows authentication. So if you're using if you set your if you use, there are like two options for authentication, whether you use your integrated security or whether you use your MySQL server. It's like that. So if you set your integrated security equals true, it means that you are using Windows authentication. Windows authentication is like when you try to log in into your computer, you should pass some kind of authentication, right? So you should give your user password. Okay, you should, if you want to open some particular user account of the computer, you have to give some kind of authentication. You have to give some kind of credential like password. So that's what is called Windows authentication, which is provided by Windows. But we will be not using that. We'll be using SQL Server authentication. So let's write server was local host, server be local host, and database will be, so in my case let me show my database. So in my case, I'm going to use adu hyphen, not hyphen, underscore dv. So it depends what database you use. So in my case, I'm using adu hyphen, I mean underscore dv. Okay, so you can use your particular database, like whatever database you want to use, you can use that. So user id will be admin, and password will also be admin. So that's it. So now what I'm going to use is I'm going to use something called connection class. So I'll be using an object of SQL class, which is provided by area.net. So in my case, I'm using MySQL, as I'm say that the title already said that that you are using MySQL. So uh, I so we'll be using MySQL. So let's use the condition class provided by area.net. So let's write condition tab. So there we go. So this is it. So this is the so for now, in your case, you might be getting some kind of error over here. You might be getting some kind of error. So in order to fix that particular error, so what you need to do is you go to the dependencies. You go to do manage NuGet packets. You type MySQL connection. Name not MySQL connection. Just wait a minute. I'll tell you what you need to use. I think it's this. Okay, let me say let me check. So you're using MySQL connection means you should be using some kind of class. So class comes from, in order to use MySQL client, like MySQL connection, what you have to use is you have to use something called MySQL client. So you need to install MySQL data. So MySQL data, so you just go over here and search type MySQL data, and you're gonna get something like this, and you just install this. Okay. So in my case, I have already installed. So if you haven't installed, please install it. MySQL data dot MySQL dot data. So just install this, and you will be able to use MySQL connection class. So now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the connection. So here we go. I have already opened my connection. I'm gonna say that if con dot state equals system dot data dot connection state dot open. Okay, so if it's open, what you gotta do is you gotta write console dot write line, console dot write line, console has been made. I'm gonna write something like it is structures will be connected. So something like this. And in the cat section, what I can write is cat section. You can write MySQL exception E, and you can write console dot write line E dot message. Okay, and you can say finally. You have to close the connection, but even if you don't use uh, if you even if you don't use finally, it will you don't have to use this finally over here. You can even use it in try section, I think, right over here. So when it's open, you can even close it. So finally, yeah, spin close. So because if you don't use this close section, it will keep on running. It keeps on using the resources of your computer. So that's end of the video, and let's check if it's working fine. So I don't think it's working. I don't know why it's not working. Just what I mean. You have to write just on the top, I think. Can if it works. Okay, so the reason why it's not working is because we have not called this, condition program, and we have also used something called static, so we didn't have to use create an object of of the program class. So you just can call this because uh, this function is of the class, so you don't have to create an object of that class in order to run this function. You just use class name, and it will work that way. There we go. I think now it will work. So it is completed successfully. So that's the end of the video. So that's it. That's all about tutorial.